Have you ever wanted a garden full of those gorgeous blooms but felt overwhelmed by all those seed packets you see in the store? Well, you aren't going to do it alone this year. Well, today we're launching what we hope will be a massive grow along, and I brought two of my favorite YouTube creators along with me to help you succeed from seed to bloom. Let's grow together. Hi everyone. If you're new here, my name is Carol from Cape Cod Cottage Garden, and I have my gardening channel here on YouTube. I've been doing for about 4 years now. I have a garden on Cape Cod, Mass that I started from exactly a blank slate, and we've come a long way in 4 years. But today I'm very excited to be joined by my partners, Roxana from Soil and Margaritas and Vita from Budget Gardening with Vita Loca. I'm so excited to do this with them. Hashtag Grow at Home 2026. In the videos, we will have step-by-step tutorials, everything from grow lights to soil, so you can grow along with us. So whether you have a massive backyard or even just like a sunny balcony, you can grow your own flowers. We're going to cover all the basics, when to sow according to your frost date, what containers to use, and the secret to perfect watering. Make sure you check the description below for links to my partners' channels so you can follow their flower updates also. So we went ahead and we ordered 3 different flower seeds from Johnny's. I'm not sponsored by Johnny's, but Johnny's is a great resource. They have a lot of flowers and they tend to have very excellent germination rates and good quality control on their seed packets. But you can get your seeds anywhere. You can get from the Dollar Tree or your local garden store or any of the online retailers. So let me show you the ones we chose for our grow along. I know this is crazy, guys, but this is my box of flower seeds. I have another box similar to this for vegetable seeds. So if this is your first time seed starting, let this be a warning. It is so fun and it is very addictive. I've tried to put myself on a seed buy-in limit this year and I've already failed miserably. Well, not miserably. I didn't buy too many. But let me show you. Oh, I already took it out. So this is my little container for our grow along seeds. Now, the one thing about Johnny's packages, they don't have pictures of the actual flower on the packaging. So I will pop a little picture up so you can see exactly what we plan to grow. Now, we tried to pick 3 varieties of flowers that are pretty easy to grow, germinate pretty quickly, and very rewarding in your garden. So one of them is Zinnias. Now, Zinnias is an old-timey great flower. You can just use them in your landscape for the beautiful blooms, or they make excellent cut flowers also. So if you ever want to get into making bouquets for your own home or friends or whatever, Zinnias is a great place to start. They come in so many varieties and they're pretty easy to grow. So the one we chose from Johnny's is called Linen. I'll show you the seed packet just in case you do want to purchase this seed. And just to talk about what's on the bottom here, if you're unfamiliar with seed packets, you can see this has a germination of 81%. So that means out of all the seeds that they germinated out of this lot, 81% of the seeds sprouted. That's a little bit lower than usual. Usually you like to see like a 97% or 98% germination rate, so you get all of the seeds will actually grow. But we just really love this flower and we wanted to give it a try. And also in here, you will see the date the seed was packed and tested. So you can see it says January of 26. So these are brand new seeds. The other thing about the seed packet I just wanted to share with you is on the back, it will show you how to grow this specific seeds. Johnny's does an excellent job in giving you oodles of information. Half of the time, I only look at when to start it and how deep to sow it. But if you want to get into all the details, it's on the back of the seed. Super helpful. And also their website has how to grow on everything. So if you just type in the flower you'd like to grow on their website, it will tell you specifically the instructions to grow that flower. The second one we're going to grow is a Durango Red Marigold, another easy to grow, very common flower in the garden. And as you can see, the germination on this is 97%. And this was tested in November of 25. So that's the second seed. And the third seed we're gonna grow is an Easy Wave Plum Vein F1 Peloton Petunia. Here's the package, germination 98%, tested on October of 25, the lot number, and the instructions are on the back. And I apologize in advance if this video is very wordy. You know I do like to babble, but I'm going to try to keep the babbling to a minimum. But there is a lot of information to share about seed starting, especially for beginners. And I really want to try to make this as thorough as possible. Forgive me if this is a little bit of a talky video more than an action video, because I want to introduce the seeds and give you some tips to start. And then we're not going to actually be planting these seeds until it's time. We wanted to put the seed varieties out now, so in case you want to join us, you have time to purchase the seeds so you can join along with us. That being said, you may have noticed that on this seed packet, it says right here, pelleted. And a pelleted seed it's just a seed that's been coated. It's usually coated with some kind of clay. And the reason they do that usually is because the seeds of petunias especially, and some other seeds, are so tiny. They're almost like grains of sand. So in order to make it more easy to handle them, they put like this clay coating on them. It makes them more uniformly round, makes them easier to pick just one seed to sow. Because this will prevent you from putting like 7 seeds on your tray when you only want to plant 1. I'll open the package and show you what they look like. These are tiny guys, and you'll see why. So these happen to be yellow, but they can be any color. Pelleted seed. Please don't drop them. I don't have that many. See them right there? So they just have a little coating on them. Some pelleted seeds actually include a little nutrient or a fungicide or some kind of inoculant to make the seed germinate easier and protect the seeds from soil-borne diseases. Not all, but some. The third reason that they have pelleted seeds is more for like a big farm type of situation where they're not hand sowing, they're actually machine sowing, and it helps the seed go through the mechanical seeders easier. There are a couple of things you should know about pelleted seeds. I wouldn't necessarily call it negative, but just something you should know is that pelleted seeds tend to have a shorter shelf life than seeds that aren't pelleted. And also, when you sow your pelleted seeds, it's essential that you keep them evenly moist and not let them dry out. Because sometimes once they get wet and then they dry out, they can form a really hard shell around the seed, which will make it hard for that little tiny seedling to emerge. Overall, it's a great thing to use, especially when you're dealing with something as tiny as petunia seeds. So now I'm going to discuss the essential things you need to successfully grow your flowers. So first, you're going to need some seed trays, something to actually grow your flowers in. Think of this as your plant's little nursery. So you can use anything actually for a container. I've seen people do it in egg cartons or yogurt containers. So if this is your first foray into growing seeds, don't be afraid to try something like that. Save up your yogurt containers or any kind of container that you can poke a little hole in the bottom and use to sow seeds. You could even use like little plastic cups. But I would caution you, if you're going to be only starting like 1 seed or a couple of seeds, you don't want to have a big wide base like this. And I'll explain more on that later. You're going to want something that's on the small side. So a yogurt container would be good. I use these. These ones are specifically from Bootstrap Farmer. But if you're just starting, you don't need to go out and purchase something like this. I bought these because I start seeds every year and I don't want to rebuy my trays every year. So I did. These are a little more expensive, but they do last. I've had these. This is my 5th year, I think, or 4th or 5th year growing with these seeds, and they held up really well. But anyway, so you want to have a little container like this. Make sure it has holes in the bottom. So if you're using a yogurt container, put some holes in it. And then you have to have something to put your containers in. So any kind of tray, like this. This is called a 10-20 seed starting tray. You could even use like a food container tray, something like this, that you could put your little containers in just to hold it. It's just something that your containers sit in to capture the water when you're watering. So it doesn't have to be fancy. But this is called a 10-20 seedling tray. And the reason is it's 20 inches by 10 inches. And this is what I'm using because I grow a lot of seeds. But if you are just growing a few seedlings for the grow along, you can use something like this or something like this, a little take-home container to put your seedlings in. The good thing about something like this, it almost has a built-in humidity dome. A humidity dome is just a covering on top of your seeds. It can be plastic like this, or you can even use like a piece of plastic wrap over the top. And when we start to plant seeds, I will show you how to use them and explain the importance of them. But in general, it is to keep the humidity in, to retain the moisture in the soil so your seedlings have a chance to germinate. And more about that later when we actually get to sowing. The next thing I'm going to talk about is soil. It is the engine which all things grow from. One thing I would say not to skimp on is soil. You can't just grab some soil from your backyard and use it to grow seeds. It just doesn't work well. So in general, when you're starting seeds, there's two different types of soil to use. You can use a seed starting mix like a Pro Mix or other companies that make seed starting mix. Seed starting mix is a sterile, soilless medium to start your seeds in. That's what it's made for. It's not made for growing your seeds from start to bloom. It's just to get those seeds germinated. The benefits of using seed starter mix is it's very, very light. So it easily allows those little tiny seedlings to dig their roots through the medium without being encumbered by any heavy, thick, or clay soils. The other kind of soil that you can use is usually what I use. I grow so many seeds. Seed starter mix is fine to use. So if that's what you choose to do, that's absolutely fine. Just knowing that after your seeds sprout and you get a few leaves, you are going to have to pot them up into some kind of potting mix so they can get the nutrients from the soil. Because seed starting mix doesn't really have any nutrients in it. It just gets the seed started, hence the name. I choose to use potting mix for my seed starting because I start probably 2,000 to 3,000 seeds every year. I know, it's insane. I am just a backyard gardener, but you'll see, you will get addicted. Once you start, it's very easy to get out of control. But anyways, so I use potting mix. Now, one thing I want to stress about potting mix, this is one place where you might want to spend a little bit extra and buy a really good potting mix for your seeds, because it is the engine that drives the seeds to grow. My favorite is Fort V's potting soil, but unfortunately it's very hard to source. It's from Vermont Compost Company and they do ship, but I mean, you're buying these, like I said in my last videos, you have to buy this big bag of soil and you know, that gets very expensive to ship. Another one I've discovered that works really, really well, just a plain old Miracle-Gro potting mix. And most big box stores or any little garden center or even like Walmart will have Miracle-Gro. And if you're just starting out, you don't need a lot. I would get like a smallish medium bag to the project we're going to do today. You know, I don't know how big that is. You guys do you don't need the giant bag. You will soon when you get addicted, but right now. The next thing we need to talk about is the sun substitute. And what is that? That is your light source or your grow lights. You'll hear people say that you absolutely can grow some seedlings in a sunny, south-facing windowsill. But the problem with that is the light, especially in the wintertime, is often too weak. So those seedlings are gonna reach and reach and reach for the sun, and they become very tall and leggy and weak. I mean, they'll germinate, but once you try to plant them outside, you often lose the seedlings at that point. So why go through all that problem of trying to grow your little seedlings and nurture them every day, only to put them outside and have them perish? So I do think it's imperative that you do get some kind of grow light. Now, you don't need to go out and buy a light specifically for growing plants. Those can be very pricey, from like $100 to thousands of dollars. Now, you don't need to do that at all. What I use mostly, I do have one grow light, but what I use mostly is just a shop light, like an LED shop light that you can get at any Home Depot or Lowe's. And I'll try to put a link in the description of what I use, not affiliated or anything like that or sponsored, but just to give you an easy clickable thing. So if you want to purchase some grow lights, I can't remember how much they cost, but I want to say it might be $30 or $40 for 3 of them. That's all you'll need for the amount of seeds we're going to be sowing together. So I will go over the specifics of all the grow lights and where to place them and how to hang them when we get to sowing. The other thing you may think about purchasing is a heat mat. Not everyone needs a heat mat and not all seeds need a heat mat to germinate. But I actually grow in my basement and it is cold down here. I just checked the thermostat and it's 59 degrees. Most seeds want to grow at a warmer temperature than 59 degrees. So I do use a heat mat. So I'll also try to put a link below of the heat mat I use. But any heat mat will do. Now, if you are going to be growing in your home environment, which usually is around 65 to 72 degrees, you may not need a heat mat at all. So just keep that in mind as another piece of equipment you may need to get your seeds going. But before I talk for 1,000 hours here, I want to talk about the next essential, and that is watering. So it's very important when you're just starting seeds that the soil be moist but not sopping wet. And when we go to plant seeds, I'll give you examples of exactly what this looks like. I also show you things to avoid, like taking a watering can and pouring it on top to water your seedlings. What will happen is that will disperse your seeds, and sometimes they'll just overflow right out of the container and your seed will be gone. You'll wonder why it didn't germinate. And I'll also discuss different methods like bottom watering. So in future videos, I'm going to cover everything from the actual sowing, putting under the lights, caring for your plants before they germinate, and what to look for once they germinate. Things like the cotyledons, which aren't really true leaves, to the true leaves. So there really is a lot to learn. Then I'll show you how to nurture your seedlings once they germinate. We'll discuss potting up, moving your seedlings from a little tiny as they grow to a bigger pot. We'll also discuss methods to get your plants to survive outside, and that is a process called hardening off, which we will go over in the videos. I'll take you from sowing your seeds, the germination stage, potting up, caring for your seedlings as they grow, hardening off, and then finally, hooray, we can all plant our plants out in the garden. So this is your official invitation to join us in the 2026 Grow at Home. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button below and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of the videos in the step-by-step process. And head over to my partners' channels to check out their videos also. I think each one of us has a different perspective on how they do things, so it might be a great way to see what works for you. Also, the other thing is, my friend Roxana lives in central Indiana. My friend Vita lives in New Hampshire. And as you know, I am at Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So a little different growing zones also. So your mission before the next video comes out is to grab your supplies. So pick up your seed starting mix or your potting soil, your heat mat, your grow lights, and order those seeds. If you feel like you don't want to order from Johnny's, you can go to any local store and pick up, if you can't find the exact variety, any Zinnia, Marigold, and Petunia will work just fine too. Also in the future video, I will discuss with you about frost dates so you'll know exactly when to sow the seeds for your climate. So drop a comment below and let me know which flower you're most excited about growing this year. We'll be reading the comments and hopefully help you with any questions you may have in your seed growing journey. Also, don't forget to use the hashtag 2026 Grow at Home on Instagram and YouTube Shorts so we can see your progress too. So we are going to have a garden full of blooms before you know it. Thank you for being part of this Grow Along, and I'll see you in the next Grow Along video when we officially start the seeds. But until then, get out there and grow. Thanks for watching. Bye. So this is your official, this is your official, why can't I say the word invitation? Oy. I'm so bad at this.